Disclaimer. This video may cause pain, seizure, or even head explosion due to the sheer beauty of this conlang. We recommend that you put on 3D glasses and a chicken costume to protect against these effects. Okay. This isn't fine. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Cursedlang Theory, the show that gets facts. Oh my god, that was so cringe. I'm never doing that again. So anyway, I'm Carl Caesar Salad, and I'm currently being held hostage in a wine cellar until I make this video about this conlang called CAQ IR and sent to some guy called Agma Schwa, I don't know. So anyway, let's go. Chapter 1, Phonology. We're starting off with the vowels because screw you.
So don't forget the sound of vowels. They're the letters
E, U, I, U, E, O, A, and O. Seems simple, right? Well, each of these vowels also come with nasalized variants, so you better get your nose right. Also, the vowels E and U have elongated variants. The vowel E in particular also has an extremely elongated variant, which is pronounced Also, you may have noticed the asterisk next to A. It's pronounced in certain dialects, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's look at the consonants. CAQ IR's consonants include ma, na, nga, ma, na, nga, pa, ta, cha, ka, ba, da, ya, ga, fa, sha, fa, sa, sha, hya, ha, va, za, zha, ga, wa, la, ya, ha, la, ra. And I'm never doing this ever again. Note that refers to the sound of being bonked by an inflatable hammer. Yes, this requires you to have one of those. Though if you don't have one of those, you can always just use a normal metal hammer. Well, if you can stand the pain, that is. Oh yeah, did I mention that each of these consonants also come with nasalized variants? Oh, don't ask me how to nasalize a nasal, please just don't ask. Also, you may have noticed the asterisk next to F. It's an allophone of F before E or I, for reasons that I'll explain right now. There's literally no reason, they just included an allophone for the funsies. Note that in certain dialects, due to cultural exchange with another conlang known as Shilu, the consonant cluster H is replaced with this thing, the manualized pharyngeal trill. Yeah, manualized means you stick your hand into your mouth, by the way, so it's pronounced like Oh yeah, the dialect also contains barfing noises, but that's merely a result of pronouncing the previous sound too many times rather than a natural component of the language. Let's move on. CAQ IR is also a tonal language because of course it is, with two tonemes, normal and vocal fry. CAQ IR also contains what is known as phonemic finger pointing, which is cool because it not only acts like a phoneme, but it also indicates who you are talking to. Like, if you're talking to someone in front of you, point to that someone in front of you. If you're talking to yourself, point to yourself. If you're talking to two people, point to both of them simultaneously. If you're talking to 10 people at once, point to all of them, one for each finger. If you're talking to a crowd of more than 10 people, then why do you even exist? Do note that if someone is using phonemic finger pointing and they aren't pointing to you, you are legally required to ignore them. If you fail to do so, you will go to CAQ IR jail. That's a thing, right? Anyways, I think we're done for phonology. Let's move on. Chapter 2, Orthography. Finally, we can get to what is arguably the most beautiful part of the CAQ IR language. CAQ IR's writing system is Latin-based like most international auxiliary languages, however it has a unique aspect. You know how most writing systems have uppercase and lowercase letters? Well, there's nothing saying we can't have more than two, right? So guess what? Each letter has 6 different cases now. besides the unit case gur, but we'll get to that later. Like how our primary school English teacher taught you, capital letters are used at the start of important words. Of course, we do not support word discrimination. We believe that every word is important, so you should capitalize every single word. Writing like this makes you look very smart and lets people know that you aren't worthless. It totally doesn't make you look like a dumb 9-year-old. No, why would you think that? Oh yeah, and proper nouns are written in all caps because screw you. Everything has a beginning and an end. We have a case used for the beginning of words, so shouldn't we also have a case used for the end of words? And that's where the third case comes in. At first they didn't really know what to call it. Popular suggestions were middle case and lowest case, but eventually they settled for how we drew the lower case, suggested by this Discord user here. Then there's the last three cases: suitcase, briefcase, and the ram-ace attorney case. Honestly, these cases are more like letters with diacritics than, well, cases. But you can't really complain, right? I mean, the more cases the better. Suitcase letters are pronounced with nasalization, briefcase letters are pronounced with vocal fry, and the ram-ace attorney letters are pronounced with phonemic finger pointing. Most of them are written as ace attorney case names. These rules apply to all of the CAQ IR letters besides the unit case gur, which we'll actually get to right now because now that you know all the cases, it's time to learn the alphabet. What are these letters called in CAQ IR? Well, for vowels, you just pronounce the letter plus C. For consonants, you just pronounce the letter plus Q circumflex, because those two letters are God. Also, uke is just called uke and gal is just called gal. Also, the glottal stop is considered a vowel for some reason. You may have noticed that the letter C, or rather K, has three different sounds. There isn't really a way to determine whether it makes the K sound or the S sound, but if it either comes after or before, it makes the best lettered sound. The letter Q circumflex, or rather also has two different sounds, and there's a simple rule on what sound it makes. It makes the sound when and only when at the end of a syllable. This conlang also has some digraphs, which doesn't count as individual letters, unlike get out. These include I, U, Z, J, Ch, and what the hey. Digraphs containing C overrides the C rule stated above. There are two triple letters, os, which is pronounced depending on extremely specific parts of your DNA sequence, and which can be pronounced wherever the heck you want, except on weekends and holidays and alternate May is pronounced kr. Some other multigraphs include bow, hot, fish, and what the actual hey. These also don't count as individual letters, unlike get out. Oh, and you may have noticed that the creator of the conlang made the curious decision of putting the letter D, or rather D, at the end of the alphabet. I noticed that too, and being the person who never thinks before acting rationally that I am, I called the creator and asked him in person. His reply was rather cryptical, and I still couldn't quite figure out what it means.
You called the wrong number.
If any of you watching this video figure it out, please comment down below. Chapter 3, Morphology. Plurals in CAQ IR are marked by tacking on a ram-ace attorney case to the end of a word, and possessives are marked by tacking a to the end of a word. Past tense is marked with the suffix ka, while future tense is marked with the suffix desh. These suffixes stack with each other, so future in the past tense is marked with cadex. You can actually stack them more and get an entire multiverse of different timelines, but I feel like keeping it simple, so let's move on. Oh, other than past, present, and future tense, there's also a dating tense, which is used for events that happen while you're listening to Toby Fox music. Dating tense uses a prefix instead of a suffix, which is sans. The prefix po is the unequivalent. It takes the opposite of anything. For example, bad equals na, good equals pona. You get it? Transitive verbs can be written backwards to switch the subject and object. For example, mi tan, I create a thing. Mi tan, I was created by a thing. They're reverses of each other, no way. The ka suffix wasn't affected because it was the past tense marker.
Do you understand?
And of course, we got the converse suffixes. Oh, glorious converse suffixes. You know how in English we have those verbs that can be nouns, verbs, and adjectives? Well, in ka here we differentiate them by adding different suffixes to them. Yukun, for instance, converts nouns to verbs. Write that backwards and you get huyuk, which does the opposite and converts verbs into nouns. And then we have ash, which converts a noun to an adjective, and sha converts an adjective into a noun, elol converts a verb into an adjective, lolly converts an adjective to a verb, gref converts a ground to a zombie, verg converts a zombie to a ground. Wait, this isn't PVZ. And finally, gender, which converts anything into a pronoun. These suffixes also stack with each other, so next time instead of writing pig for big, you could make the word actually big and write pikanchayukuhilololim. It means the exact same thing, but it's longer and thus cooler. Also, there's no distinction between adjectives and adverbs because screw you. Chapter 4, Syntax. Ka here syntax is pretty much exactly the same as English, aka the true language. The only difference is that A and N are not written. So yeah, it's just English, not much else I could say here. Oh wait, I just remembered ka here has a thing called thalasim KFC, or emotion symbols, which are little emoticons drawn on the top or bottom of the last letter in a sentence, including but not limited to happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, neutral, surprised, very surprised, cuteness, evilness, nerdiness, blindness, nose, big nose, I don't even know what this is, upside down, downside up, eraser from BFDI, nage, dorselessness, transientness, susness, troll, and how it feels to chew 5 gum. Now you may be wondering, isn't this just emoji? Well, kinda, except you can use these in a formal context, which is cool. So keep in mind that if you're using these under a formal context, you can't lie about your emotions or you'll go to ka here jail. Still questioning the existence of such a thing. Chapter 5, Vocabulary. A lot of ka here's vocabulary is derived from English, aka the true language. However, some of the vocabulary also derive from Latin, Russian, Spanish, French, Japanese, Chinese, Cantonese, Portuguese, Vietnamese, losing all my knees, Martian, dog, bird, bee, birds and the bees, Java, Python, C++, Vakil, Tukipona, Kalinsakus, this thing, and the Conlang whose name must never be said!
What the heck?
It's Esperanto. The derivations, however, are usually indirect. Here are some examples. The word for create is genesis, derived from English Genesis. Seems normal, right? The word for rule is measure, derived from English measure. The connection is less obvious here, but it's because the ruler is used to measure things, so ruler equals measurer, rule equals measure. Got it? Let's continue. The word for orange is onohina, derived from English annoying. This is a reference to the popular web series known as Annoying Orange. The word for mouse is Mickey, derived from English. Actually, I don't want to get copyrighted, so let's move on. The word for raven is writing desk, derived from English writing desk. Okay, now this is just ridiculous. How is a raven similar to a writing desk? No, seriously, why is a raven like a writing desk? Ka here has 7 standard third-person pronouns, all derived from one phrase. Vakil is very stupid. And yes, you can use pit in an insulting manner, which is probably offensive to potatoes, but hey, who cares about the potatoes anyway? Ka here has a interesting way of describing colors, where you have to first say the word for color, horore, and then you have to say the color's hex code as a ka here word, with numbers being pronounced as suitcase letters. For example, red is called horore on. Currently, the longest root word in ka here is which refers to the action of turning into dream. And I just remember a unique feature of this conlang that doesn't seem to belong in any of the previous 5 chapters, so I'll just make it its own chapter. Hey look, 3 people! Now in English we can refer to them as person A, person B, and person C respectively, but in ka here that feature is removed entirely! Why? Because letters are awesome and people are awesome, but letters are not people. Okay, just kidding, we still have this feature. But we don't just call those 3 people Guy Ak, Guy Bu, and Guy Ku. No. Instead, the first person is called Guy Hu, and the second person is called Guy Ru, because those 2 letters are God. A third person is called guy os, a fourth person is called guy, and the fifth person is called guy shosh. Wait, shosh in the letter? What do you mean shosh is in the letter? Just look. Wait, wrong image. Sorry. See, it's clearly in the alphabet. A 27th person is called guy yuk, a 69th person is called guy uk, and 11,037th is called guy hu, a 97,104th is called guy ak, a pieth person is called guy get out, a ninth person is called guy yu, a hot person is called guy ngu, and every other person is called guy du. I don't like it. Well, you can always just use names. And finally, we have the sample sentence. Du tu shuk roise per kilo measure fruition puyuk is soncha erina ud le determination or fruigi. Stu fruition yi popik or was stu pig popig corpo islo udon le erina hat fruigi po aia shuknan tutu erina pobers soeli ke bezio pozon. So basically, CAQ IR is the best Conlang ever, and if you disagree, you'll probably go to CAQ IR jail, if that's even a thing. Wait a second. Oh, you know what I just realized? This wine cellar that I got kidnapped to, it's literally called CAQ IR jail. Well, that makes sense, I guess. Anyways, that's it for the video.
Side effects of speaking CAQ IR may or may not include dizziness, vomiting, heart palpitations, stomach palpitations, reflux palpitations, regurgitation, explosive diarrhea, parole esperante, explosive kittens, redundancy, explosive metaton, excessive of cheese, mind control, death, kicking buckets, flying forbs, resurrection, reanimation, being brought back from the dead, redundancy, and craving for cookies.